Good afternoon, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitch and Yeti here, and today I'm at the Grand Floridian here at Walt Disney World. Beautiful. What a great place to start a vlog off, especially since we're going to be here in the area today looking at some things that happened back in the 70s in pop culture and American history. When you think about one of these things that happened was actually involving one of our standing United States presidents. He gave a very famous speech right across Seven Seas Lagoon here over at the Contemporary Resort in Ballrooms of America. I'm going to take you step by step to show you where that location is, where the famous words, "I'm not a crook," by Mr. Nixon, where it all went down. And once we finish up there, we're going to get back on the monorail and we're going to take a ride over the Polynesian Resort, which is probably my favorite resort here at Walt Disney World. It is absolutely beautiful, but something happened there in rock and roll history, and we're talking about the Beatles. My mom's favorite rock band when she was young and growing up. She loved Paul McCartney and John Lennon, and John Lennon actually signed the paperwork to dissolve the Beatles right there at the Polynesian. And we're going to go check out the room, the building he was staying at when he signed it, with his mistress girlfriend, and his son Julian was there. So we got a lot to see, so let's get started. All right, Grand Floridian, I bid you goodbye for now, my friend. You are beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Look at the chandelier in this place. Wow. It is so beautiful. What a nice resort. Okay, we're going to leave one nice resort and head to another. Let's go get on this monorail out here, and we're going to take off toward the Contemporary Resort. All right, monorail orange. A little rainy out. Right over there is where we're headed, to the Contemporary. Get a good shot at the Grand Floridian via the monorail. Alright, now we're on our way from Magic Kingdom over to the Contemporary Resort. You can see the tip of Cinderella Castle on this rainy day. Alright, we have made it. You see the Mary Blair artwork. Love that. That looks so beautiful. Alright, we just got off the monorail, and right there is Chef Mickey's, and we're actually going to go down a level and look for Ballroom of Americas. And that will be the location where Richard Nixon stood in front of 400 Associated Press and said the famous words, "I'm not a crook." And I think it's right over here. All right, my friends, I have made it down here to the Ballroom of Americas area. It's right here behind me, but I want to give you a little tip depending on how you arrive to the Contemporary. If you come via the monorail, when you exit the monorail and come downstairs where all the shopping area is, you want to come down one more level and you will see this California Grill, like a check-in area right here. And if you're coming in from the lobby, like the buses and stuff, you want to go all the way to where Steakhouse 71 is, and you look to your right. Steakhouse 71 is right here in front of this escalator, and you want to come up this escalator or these steps, and then right behind you as you walk up, you will actually see Ballroom of Americas right down that hallway, and they're on the left. So let's walk over there and I'll show you what door Richard Nixon walked through when he gave his speech to those 400 Associated Press members back in 1973. So as we walk back here, I do want to point out, normally you can come up here and it's always very quiet. They have some really nice little lounge areas to hang out with an iPad or a laptop. If you just want some peace and quiet, this is a great place to come. Unfortunately, I will not be taking you inside the ballroom today, because luck have it, this is the one time I came up here and they have something going on inside, and they actually say, it says do not enter private event. That is very unfortunate. I was really looking forward to taking you inside. I have some old footage of another video maybe I can plug in right here and kind of show you what it looks like, but yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But this is the area where Richard Nixon on November 17th, 1973 entered this door, and he stood in front of 400 people at the Associated Press for an hour-long Q&A, and it was all about Watergate scandal. So you know, the famous words "I'm not a crook" happened right here inside of the Contemporary, right inside that door. That is so fascinating to me. So Nixon's quote is, people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. And then he said, well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got. But it didn't work out so well for him. He ended up resigning shortly thereafter, and he was always looked at as a crook. So that's how some politicians they get called every once in a while. Not often, but he did. So I think this is a really cool little piece of American history. Like when you're at Walt Disney World, and if you don't know, and most people don't know, they don't think about that kind of stuff, but it happened right here. And Richard Nixon he was like a friend of Walt Disney. It's like he liked Disney stuff, because he actually showed up in Disneyland years earlier. So, you know, he was definitely in the Disney loop in some way, shape, or form. And I just thought it was interesting that this is where he ended up having that famous Q&A. So it all happened right here. All right, now that you know that, I guess the only thing left to do is vacate the area, since I cannot go inside. I really hate that, but I try to put something in here of a previous visit where I showed the inside of it. If I can make it happen, I will. If not, I'm sorry, but this is the main thing I wanted to show you, where it happened, so we can check that off. We're looking for Ballroom of Americas. Just think, this is where it happened. And this is the room. How amazing is this? (1973) it happened right here. So this would have been all the area where the 400 Associated Press would have been sitting in this room. And then Nixon, I think, would have walked through this door, and right here is where the podium would have been, and this is where the speech started.
That I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
Now we're going to get back on the monorail. Hopefully the rain is subsided now. We'll make our way over to the Polynesian. And we're going to look at some Beatles, some rock and roll history now. Even though, unfortunately, it was more of the demise of the Beatles happened over there. The paperwork was signed by John Lennon. But anyway, let's get going. Should be fun. We don't have to enter any place over there. I can just show you where it happened. So you're definitely going to see that today. So let's keep on rolling. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you love this kind of content, hanging out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Definitely give me a like, thumbs up. Drop a comment if you know anything about this, or if you know anything about the John Lennon stuff. I'd love to hear from you, definitely. All right, let's roll. It's pretty awesome. Came over on Monorail Orange. The time I spent inside there showing you guys that, we're going back to the Polynesian on Monorail Orange. So we was in there just long enough for this thing to make one full
clear of the door.
So long, Contemporary.
Our next stop will be the Transportation and Ticket Center, which includes Magic Kingdom car and bus parking. To the right is Disney.
As we ride the monorail, right there is another great Disney resort off in the distance. That is Fort Wilderness.
We're gonna do both.
Right there beyond the trees.
You don't know what to expect.
All right, my friends, we have made it over here to the very beautiful and tropical Polynesian Resort. Look how beautiful that is. You see why John Lennon was vacationing here. I love when you come in here and it just opens up and you see the tiki down below. Absolutely magnificent. This is another This is probably my favorite Walt Disney World resort. It is just so beautiful, and I love the smell in here. All right, now we have to head outside toward the Samoa Longhouse and find room 1601. That's our spot today. All right, here we go outside. And right over here to our left is the swimming pool area. I'm glad it finally stopped raining where I can show you this today. So right here the sign says Hawaii, Samoa. That's where we want to head. And I actually think it's this place right here is where we're headed. I'm gonna cruise along the lawn here and go check it out. So right here is the Samoa house. And there's actually another swimming pool right over here. So just to give you a little update on how this whole Beatle thing happened. You got to remember, back in the 60s, the Beatles were the biggest band in the world. In 1969, Lennon screamed the words, "I want a divorce," from the Beatles. He had had enough. Paul McCartney had announced he was leaving the band. Almost 4 years later, the paperwork to break the Beatles up has still not been signed yet. So finally, in December of 1974, a meeting was called in New York City's Plaza Hotel, only a few blocks from Lennon's apartment. George Harrison, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr had already signed the paperwork. Ringo was on the phone for the meeting, and John did not show up. He said the stars were not aligned. Lennon took his son Julian and his mistress, May Pang, to Disney World. And this right here is where they ended up staying. Now you got to think, back then, the Polynesian looked a lot different. I don't even know if that swimming pool would have been there. I don't really know, but so 1601 is where he stayed at. And it should have been right here. This room right here, 1601. This is where John Lennon, May Pang stayed. That is so awesome. So you can still get this room if you want to. That is so awesome. But he actually signed the paperwork on the patio on the opposite side. And this is a ground floor, you know, room. So we can go around the back side here and check it out. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's make our way around and look at the patio where John Lennon finally signed the paperwork to dissolve the Beatles. So this was always a very interesting story to me, because I too know what it's like to have a favorite rock band. My rock band growing up was always Kiss. You know, the band that wore all the makeup and the platform shoes. Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons was heavily influenced by the rock band The Beatles. Matter of fact, Gene Simmons might have been watching the Ed Sullivan Show back in the 60s when he was a kid. And when he seen Paul McCartney playing that bass and the girls screaming and everything, he said, "That's a good job." I ain't going to say what else he said. He said, "That's a good job. I want to do that." And that changed their lives forever. And the Kiss, you can really look at them and tell they was very heavily influenced in the Beatles, because they really were kind of a version of the Beatles. You know, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, George Harrison, John Lennon, they all four could sing. They were 4 band members. Kiss did the same thing, but they took it a step further because they didn't want to be a carbon copy, a second-rate Beatle band. They want to be a first-race Kiss band. So yeah, so they changed their thing. Black and white was their theme, and it was on after that. All 4 members of Kiss could also sing, you know, in rock and roll terms. They could sing or scream into the microphone, but all of them had their own songs, so they was very much a 4-wheel drive animal, just the way the Beatles was. And so when I hear them talk heavily about and so kindly about the Beatles over the years, when I was following Kiss as a rock fan, this got me into the Beatles, and then I started listening to Beatles music. So it kind of come full circle for me. So it's really cool to come here and see a little bit of this rock and roll history that played out right here. So this right here, if I zoom in, hope nobody's in there because this just feels wrong. But I don't look like anybody's in the room. If somebody looks out there, I'm going to apologize. But that there is 1601, as we can see it. And right here on this patio is where John Lennon finally signed the paperwork to dissolve the Beatles. And that is pretty wild when you think about that kind of rock icon set right there in 1974 on vacation here at Walt Disney World and finally ended the band. You know, it was finally right at that point in time. So I think that's pretty cool history here at Walt Disney World, and I'm glad I got to share it with you today. So me and my wife has been talking for the last year or so what deluxe resort we would like to come to next and stay at, and I'm really fighting hard for the Polynesian resort. And if it's all possible, when I come here to stay, and I always like to come to these Disney resorts and give a tour, do a room review and all that good stuff, I'm gonna try my best to get that room 1601 if I can. So I think that would be pretty cool to be able to stay in that room, just because of who stayed in there, what kind of icon, rock icon of all time actually stayed in there. I think that would then that'd be a pretty cool story to tell people. All right, my friends, this will pretty much conclude my video today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really enjoyed taking you around 7 Sea Lagoon here and on the monorail on a quite stormy day. Weather kind of messed with me a little bit, but I got the video completed. Really happy about that. And I thought, what better way to end the video is to just give you a nice view of the beach here at the Polynesian. Look at the white sandy beach we got down there. People playing some volleyball. We have like the bungalow villas over here, over the water. And then off in the distance, you can see Cinderella Castle. Right there in front of the middle screen. All right, my friends, that will conclude my video today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's content, please do not hesitate to hit that subscribe button. Give me a like, a thumbs up. It really helps me out. That's all I ask. I appreciate it so much for you watching and hanging out with me. I mean that. Till next time, friends, I'm the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you in my next adventure. For right now, I think I'm gonna have to go get some food, because I smell like some Hawaiian style pork they got cooking here. You can just smell the smokiness. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'll see y'all in my next video. Y'all take care and be safe out there. And we have a little bonus footage. We actually got some pulled pork nachos, Hawaiian style, with some pineapples on it. And then we're gonna try out the flatbread. Yeah, this is gonna be really good.